The Golden Mike Podcast is presented by SeaDek Marine Products. SeaDek features non-absorbent, closed-cell, PE, EVA blended foam that delivers the perfect combination of comfort, safety, and style. For more information, check out www.seadek.com. That's SEADEK.com. Your boat deserves SeaDek. And now, it's showtime. Unbelievable.
Recognized as the official voice of Toad Water Sports for over a decade, his vocal tones have narrated the industry's biggest and most prestigious events in the world. With over 25 years of on-water experience, captivating charisma, and a command of his audience. Presented by SeaDek Marine Products, it's the Golden Mike Podcast. With the noise of the North himself, Dano the Mano.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to episode 109 of the Golden Mike Podcast. As always, I am the noise of the North, Dano the Mano, recording this time from the GMP North Suburban Chicagoland Studios. It's cold out, there's snow on the ground, but I'm ready to warm some things up with your bi-monthly dose of audio sunshine. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Active Water Sports. Active Water Sports represents what a real pro shop should be. With 37 years of water sports industry experience under their belt, they're knowledgeable and passionate about all their products from boats to wakeboards and are dedicated to helping customers make the best buying decisions. Go to www.activewake.com to browse their massive catalog. They also have a customer service number on there. You can call if you have any questions or need a product recommendation. Active Water Sports, they take your fun seriously. Seriously, today we present part one of a two-part episode recorded live at the 32nd annual Active Water Sports Evening with the Stars event in Oregon City, Oregon, just outside of Portland. A big shout out to all the riders, the pros, the attendees, the factory representatives, the who's who came out to support and stopped by and said what's up. It was super cool getting to see so many folks from the Pacific Northwest and getting to catch up with folks who I haven't gotten to catch up with in a while. I, for the first time ever, had the privilege of hosting this legendary night. It was so cool getting to hear about some of the past guests. Maybe you guys won't hear it on this episode, but the next episode, the likes of Sammy Duvall and Andy Mapple and some of the heroes of Toad Water Sports. Anyways, we had a stage, we saw a documentary, we had a little setup inside of the active showroom where I could interview all of my guests, Johnny Carson style. The event was a blast. As I mentioned a moment ago, Active Water Sports premiered their shop documentary, which covered their shop founder and owner, Warren Freece, who's a legend, and the shop's history. They had over 40 years of tape to choose from, and I just love seeing the old school stuff like that. And they told me it's going to be available on their YouTube channel really soon, so I'll make sure to keep you guys posted on that. But a couple of their shop employees, the family there, Dan Lane, this guy Garrett, they put this entire documentary together. It's going to be super, super rad, and getting to watch it there that night was super fun. On this episode of the podcast, you guys are going to have the opportunity to hear from the West Coast trio of Tyler Higham, Trever Maur, and Josh Twelker. Tyler and Trever are actually shop riders for Active Water Sports off the Dirty D, the Delta, and Discovery Bay. They have a long and storied history together on the West Coast. Of course, we've had both Josh and Trever on the podcast before. This is Tyler's audio debut. We get to hear about some recent projects that they've been working on. We also talk about Tyler's sponsorship with Ronix and Active and his bronze medal and X Games Real Wake. After that, I chat with Volume Surfboards founder Chris Desgeorges. I know I'm brutalizing his name right there, but Chris and I known each other for a really, really long time. We go back to around 2004, 2005 with my good boy Zach Stone. We also know each other from the Hippodrome and the Wake Skate Tour and stuff like that. Anyways, Chris sits down with me. We talk about his new surf venture, not just wake surf, along with Dan Lay from Active Water Sports. It's called a Volume Surfboard. And he talks about how he's changing the way we look at surf and wake surfboards. Volume boards are available exclusively at Active, but excited for you guys to hear that. Then Slingshot Rider, for his first time ever, Dylan Miller makes an audio appearance on the podcast. We talk rail riding, and of course we talk about Formats, the Winch movie that came out this last summer. Then we get to talk to Bob Soven. We close out with Bob, who lets us know what's next in his eclectic and ever-evolving career. It's always good with Bob, and I had fun with him and Don Wallace and Dan Lay and the whole Active Water Sports crew that night, and really hope to be back at that event next year, and I'm glad that I got to do the podcast and party. Now, before I hop into it, let's take a minute to remind you all to please help spread the word about this, the Golden Mike podcast. There is no other podcast in the towed water sports industry that has continued to deliver quality content for a half-decade straight, no breaks, and there are so many more stories I just can't wait to share with you guys, but I can't do that without your continued support, and here's how you can do your part so I can keep doing mine. Be sure to subscribe to the Golden Mike podcast on iTunes or the Apple Podcast app. And tell all of your friends to do the exact same thing. After you listen to the show, please take a minute to rate it 5 stars. We're up to 102 5-star ratings, but I'd like to get that number in the 200s this month. We're also up to 68 written reviews. How about it? Let's shoot for an even 100,000, guys. I'm shooting high here. Just so you know, I take the time to read each and every one of your reviews. I even read them out loud on the podcast, which I plan to continue doing until I'm getting like 100 reviews a day. Just picture it. The noise of the North. Hey, that's me reading your words and sharing your message with the thousands and thousands of Golden Mike podcast listeners all across the globe. And if that isn't motivation enough, I will personally send you a free Golden Mike podcast t-shirt to thank you for your support. All you got to do is write that review and then shoot me an email and a screenshot of your review to goldenmike@noiseofthenorth.com. I'll be sure to send you your new favorite shirt. You make sure you wash it every once in a while. And if any of you guys are still waiting on a shirt, trust me, I know who you are. They are still coming. It's just tough sometimes, just one guy. Anyways, swag, let me hook you all up. Speaking of the reviews, there were 2 new 5-star reviews written just last week. I'm going to read them aloud right here, right now. The first one comes from RC Ski, who wrote, "Dano does an awesome job of interviewing the wake community. Much appreciated." RC Ski, I appreciate you for listening, and there is no podcast without your continued support. I'm talking to you, RC Ski. This next 5-star review comes from Captain Duck 95. It's abbreviated CPT space Duck 95, who writes, "I just turned 13 and I love wakeboarding so much. I've been riding for 4 years and I've gone to every comp at TSR since I've been riding. I've been listening to this podcast since Nationals in Atlanta in 2014, and this podcast has been pushing me to improve my riding. I love listening to all the pros like Tom, Job, Raph, and Daniel. It's super cool listening to all the episodes that are at Cable Stock and hearing Blake Hess, Tom, Colin, and Mark. And I hope they continue to record this podcast for many more years." Well, thank you, Captain Duck 95. That really warmed my heart. This sport needs more young riders like you to keep it progressing and evolving. So a shout out to all the young riders out there and to all their parents who let their kids be a part of such a cool and positive sport. I know I'm happy my parents did. Speaking of, I just wanted to give my dad a little shout out. I know he always listens to each and every episode. He calls me all the time to let me know what he thinks of the show. And, you know, I can handle a little constructive criticism, especially when it comes to Dad, and I wouldn't be the Mano I am today if it wasn't for him. So a big shout out, a thank you to DJ Romsky in Da Mix. Oh yeah, love you, Pops. And as a reminder, you guys can also listen to the Golden Mike podcast on SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, and a wide array of podcast listening apps on Android, as well as on my website, noiseofthenorth.com. On social media, follow the Golden Mike podcast on Facebook, and follow me personally on Instagram at Dano the Mano, and on Twitter at the Golden_Mike. Oh, yeah. All right, all. We'll be right back with part 1 of our Active Water Sports Evening with the Stars podcast right here on the Golden Mike podcast. The WSIA and the Golden Mike podcast want to remind all of our listeners to please wake responsibly. The Wake Responsibly initiative is a part of the WSIA's waterway protection efforts to help minimize threats to lakes and rivers regarding towed water sports. This initiative was started to preserve the vitality of wake sports for years to come, to ensure that we can share our passion with future generations. WSIA is focused on promoting and protecting all towed water sports through best practices, maintaining waterway access rights, educating participants, promoting safety, and facilitating sustainable industry growth. For more information and to see how you can do your part to wake responsibly, head over now to WSIA.net.
Presented by SeaDeck Marine Products. It's the Golden Mike podcast with the noise of the North, Dano the Mano.
So we got a great lineup here at Evening with the Stars, here at Active Water Sports, AWS, in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. We are currently here in Oregon City, Oregon, at the second location. The lineup of folks that I have today, we've got the likes of Dylan Miller. He's going to be sitting down with me. Bob Soven, Don Wallace from Liquid Force, Warren Freece, the owner of Active. He's going to be sitting down with me a little bit later on today. But right now, my friend Raph Derome, he's going to be sitting in here with us, chatting a little bit, making another appearance here on the podcast. But right now, I've got 3 gentlemen sitting just to the left-hand side of myself. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce him to you. My first guest from the Dirty D, representing from the Delta, my friends, out of California State, West Coast Riders. I got Tyler Higham, Josh Twelker, and Trever Maur. First of all, how many of these Evening with the Stars have you done? Is this your first one, or have you done multiple?
I think I'm on my third or fourth, maybe fourth.
All right, so multiple Evening with the Stars, but this is pretty special. They announced in the video here that they've kind of gotten the team back up. You and Ty representing for the crew. Tell me, how does it feel to be a part of this team at Active Water Sports, a shop that has over 30 years of tradition inside the towed water sports industry?
Yeah, so it's pretty rad watching everything that Warren did. When Dan kind of like asked us to be a part of the team, Dan's just shown a bunch of, Dan
Lay, of course.
Dan Lay, yes. Dan Lay he's just shown so much like enthusiasm for team athletes, for athletes in general in our sport, and to be able to like represent this shop, Active Water Sports, and be able to just kind of like show the love for the sport the way that he and Warren kind of saw, it's an honor to be a part of the team.
Really cool, man. Well, what did you think about the documentary? I know you do a little filming yourself, and we're going to talk about that because we got Tyler sitting over here, and you guys have some amazing things happening with you guys. You guys had some big luck over the summer, but the documentary for Active, going over the 40 years of history of Warren and everything, you had a nice little cameo in it. What'd you think?
Yeah, to sieve through all that footage has got to be, that's a job, that's a task, but it must have been so much fun just like seeing all the history of this place. There's a lot of footage in there, so the amount of time that Garrett put down on making the video and everybody else in the shop looked like they had their hand in it. So I know it's a lot of work, and they crushed it, and it was really cool having a section in there with Ty. So
And what about like on your end? Because and it seems like over the last 3, 4, 5 years, you've been behind the lens a whole heck of a lot more than in front of the lens. You've been the guy kind of making the dreams come true for the boys and whatnot. You've had some success in videos, but watching you ride, man, style master as always, looking good. Talk about some of the spots that you guys had an opportunity to go and film at just for this documentary.
Yeah. So we had Garrett come out to the Delta, to Sacramento, my house, and I think Velocity Island Park. And, Josh is like a huge local when it comes to the Delta. And actually, we all three kind of like spent a lot of the time of our lives there. So to be able to just bring Garrett and kind of almost show him around, he was all getting lost in the Delta. And he's like, I don't even know where I am. And we're like, oh, yeah, you're exactly here. You see that rock on there? Like, that's the rock. I don't know. It's fun showing somebody else our hometown, and so that was just really cool. It's fun getting to rip with these boys. You get inspired, and it's been cool. Ty, especially, like me and Josh have been riding together for years and years, and just kind of fed off each other. But Ty's the grommet that I would say fed off of us, and now we're feeding off of him. So it's like full circle. It's really cool.
Well, that's right. So and we're gonna bring in Josh Twelker right now. So Josh, Tyler actually lived with you for a bunch of years in Discovery Bay, and I know that you and Trever had a whole heck of a lot of influence on him. So seeing the success that Ty and Trev had this summer with the X Games Real Wake, how does that make you feel, dude?
No, I mean, it's awesome. Trev got to film my Real Wake at one point, and then Ty lived with me for I don't know how many years, like 6 years, and so seeing that kid grow up from a little punk and kind of being my little brother, and then seeing him like just almost just be this kid that I look up to now in wakeboarding, and I see him wakeboard, I'm like, damn, I want to do that too. So it's awesome. I'm super proud of him and super proud of Trev for all his success in his video stuff, and it's been an awesome crew my whole life riding with these boys.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, honestly. Like, Josh is the guy that a lot of people in our industry looked for, like, style and all that kind of stuff. So, like, to just be, like, around Josh and be able to feed off of him. And now, like, truly, honestly, like, we're looking at Ty, like, what's Ty doing? What's cool? Like, what are these hip young kids doing, and how do we keep up? It's full circle, but at the same time, I think we're all still doing it.
So, hey, all right, so Twelker, in 2018, in the past, we've seen you kind of, obviously everybody has always looked at you as this free rider who's brought that style to the contest. In 2018, it seems like you took a little bit of a break, maybe a step back from competing. So tell me what you had going on all this past year.
Yeah, I kind of didn't compete that much this year, and so I think everyone was like, where's Josh at? But I was just, filming with Trever here and there and doing my thing on the West Coast, and it was a really good year for me to just step back and go back to my roots and really just film and try and put together like a video that I was stoked on and do that whole thing, and it kind of re-stoked me to, ride harder. And watch Ty, like helping him with his Real Wake this year was so much fun. It really pushed me to do better, and I don't know, I was just stoked to have kind of like a year back at home and filming and doing what I love to do.
Josh had a lot to do with Ty's X Games. Like, he might be behind the scenes, and a lot of people might not know, but without Josh, like, X Games wouldn't have happened. He was the double-up driver. He was the one that inspired Ty to, like, do his tricks, and if they were sloppy, he would tell them to redo them. If they were great, he would say they're awesome. He came to every single shoot, towed the winch, helped film. Like, Josh was actually one of the biggest parts of Ty's section, and without him, we wouldn't have had a section. So he might have been behind the scenes a little bit more, but we filmed every chance we could, put out a 4-minute with Josh edit that's on wakeboardingmagazine.com right now. Check it out. And he's been in the scene, and we're actually cooking up something new soon, so keep your eyes peeled in the next few months.
All right, I'm going to have Josh hand the mic over here to young Mr. Tyler Higham. And from the way these guys are talking about you, Ty, you are like the man of the hour. And welcome to the Golden Mike Podcast. This is your first audio appearance?
Thank you, Dano. I am stoked to be here. I've like listened to your podcast and stuff, and I'm glad I can be a part of it.
Are you nervous?
A little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
You hear it in his voice, can't you?
Yeah.
Hey, I just
There's a tremble.
Whatever,
You're all good.
But yeah, I mean, these boys. Wow, some nice words. Thank you, guys. I mean, if it wasn't for either of them, like no way I would be like even know how to do like a 540. Like these boys have been there since day one, helping me, pushing me, like telling me to do stuff that I was scared to do. And if it wasn't for them, like their support and their backing, like not a chance. Like obviously my family and everything, but like these guys have been with me since day one.
Quick break here. I ran into a quick little audio issue with some live feedback, but one of my favorite brands solving many of the world's more technical or technologically fun audio solutions is Roswell Marine. Since 1998, Roswell Marine has defined many of the marine products we all use and love today. Everything ranging from marine audio to towing accessories, whatever your boat needs, chances are Roswell Marine makes the best version of it. The brand is always pushing boundaries within the industry to create beautiful and functional products that make boating and water sports more enjoyable. They've been the recipient of multiple innovation awards and hold the distinction of creating multiple industry firsts, including their patented cam lock systems and spinning tower speakers. Roswell's motto is quality without compromise, and no matter what you buy, Roswell products are built to perform reliably from the moment you unbox them. Go to roswellmarine.com, see their full line of products and manufacturing service capabilities. And now, let's get back to the boys right here on the Golden Mike Podcast.
Yeah, I was insanely stoked when I got the call. Like I was not expecting that at all. Like when I picked up the phone, I got the call and I didn't even I was out in the hotel lobby because I was at Cancun for Wake Open actually when I got the phone call, and I didn't even go inside to tell anybody yet. First thing I did, called Trever. He was like, all right, let me make sure I cleared up some stuff. I called Josh, hey, any way you can help out? They're both down, and we got amongst it and made it happen. It was super fun.
Okay, so how much easier and how much stress did it kind of take off of you getting to work with the likes of Trever and having Josh there in your corner?
I mean, it made it so much easier just because we've all worked together so many times. Like, Josh has driven me countless hours behind the boat just in general, so I know, I could trust him driving the winch, driving the boat. I didn't have to worry about that part. And then Trever behind the lens is just, he's a magician. It's insane what he can do, and he captured every moment perfectly, and it was really fun to work with all these guys.
Yeah, we fed off each other quite a bit. We wouldn't even have to say where to go. I'd just be like, hey, I need to have Ty right here off this double up or whatever, and Josh would just be perfect double ups right in my face. I'd be perfect. And when Josh wasn't there, it was quite a bit more difficult to get the shot. Let's just say that.
Yeah, Josh was definitely there for every shot. We tried to get some shots without him, and it was just ended up being a couple wasted days. And then Josh shows up, we get the clip that day. It was insane.
All right, so Josh, let me ask you here. We'll hand him Ty's mic there. So Josh, what was it like for you having a guy like Tyler move in at 12 years old? Because there's a few years difference. What is there, 4, 5, 6 year difference? So you're 18 years old, and you got this 12-year-old kid moving in with you. That's got to change your life a little bit.
Yeah, he's a huge punk, honestly. He's a big pain to deal with for the first 3 years until he grew up a little bit. But no, he's a good kid, and his parents are awesome, so they obviously raised a super rad kid. And it's not like he lived with me full time for the first, 3 years. And then I think when he was 16, you lived full time with me. And I don't know, it was cool because at that time he was starting to get really good, and then he was starting to push me, so it was almost there's not many people out in California riding, and it's kind of hard to find people to ride with every day, so it was perfect almost because he was at that stage in wakeboarding where he was pushing me too, and he was riding with me every day, and it was just worked out perfectly.
So Ty, we just had Josh talking a little bit about sponsorships, and about a year ago, you were able to solidify a sponsorship with a brand that you have been fitting in with real well. Tell everybody who picked you up last year.
So last year, I joined the Ronix Wakeboards family, and that was the best thing that's happened to me. They're the way I got welcomed into the team, everybody's so easy to work with, and just having fun with my friends all day long, out at Lake Ronix, and I've just built so many other relationships off of just being a part of the team. It's so much fun.
Moving into next year, what are the goals?
I mean, obviously, I'm gonna do all the contests and everything, and try to do as well as I can, like make some finals and do all that. And I'd really like to come out with like a video section again. Like I love just coming out with a video part every year. So hopefully, start working on that here pretty soon, and just have a good time, keep the good times rolling.
Very good. Hey, Ty, I promise you we are going to have you on the podcast for a full, proper episode so everybody can hear your entire story. Oh, before I let you go, how about you? How does it feel riding for Active? You're a team member, man.
Oh, riding for Active's unreal. Like what Warren has done for just the water sports industry in general is like unreal, and to be riding for him in the shop is so cool because I'm from Bend. It's like 3 hours south of here, and so there's actually a photo that I just found on Facebook the other day from 2009. I was at this event, Evening with the Stars, and I was just like totally just geeking out with all the pros. It was pretty cool. So to be a team rider and to be here is really awesome.
Congratulations, brother. Hey, if anybody listening to this podcast wants to check out more, follow you on social media, throw it out there real quick.
Just at Tyler Higham.
Boom. Well, how do you spell that? Because when I first started announcing you, I had a feeling it was Tyler Higham, but for some reason I kept saying Tyler Higham, which I'm sure you've heard many times.
Oh yeah, I've heard all of them. Higham, Higham, whatever. I've kind of just answered to them all now, but it's just Higham. Just Higham.
Easy breezy. All right, Twelker, I know you've been on the podcast. Everybody's heard it, but once again, let us know where to find you on social media.
Yeah, just at Josh Twelker. Twelker is Twelker.
Trev, once again, man, where can we find you at?
Yeah, Trever Maur, just it. Just Trever, not OR, and then MAUR. That's my Instagram. That's all I use anyways, so.
That's right. All right, everybody, give it up right there. Tyler Higham, Trever Maur, and Josh Twelker.
Thanks a ton, Dan.
No, I thank you guys very much for coming on board and doing this thing. We're just kind of throwing it together. Give it up, everybody, right there. The Delta crew. You. All right. My next guest has a new venture in the towed water sports scene. He is from about 3 minutes down the road here in Oregon City, Oregon, from the AWS, the Active Water Sports Shop. And his new venture is a company called Volume Wake Surf Boards. Now, these are a new board brand. They're sold exclusively right here at Active Water Sports. He's partnered up with Danley, and Danley is a huge part of the team here at Active Water Sports. And Chris is going to sit down here. We're going to talk a little bit about our history together. And
been a while.
It has been a while, man. And then he's going to tell me a little bit about Volume Wake Surf Boards and what we can expect to see. Chris, welcome to the podcast, sir.
Good to see you.
All right, so how did you get into shaping surfboards? Because from what I understand, you were actually designing wake skates before.
So originally, like when I was a small child, I think the age of about 9 or so, my dad started me surfing in the ocean. It was kind of like a family thing. That was kind of like what we did together. And looking up to my dad as a kid, we would go out to his shop and he'd be shaping a board. And so I was like, I want to learn this stuff as a kid. I was super hyped. I was a crazy young kid. And so he would basically lay out a board on a rack and he would shape a rail and explain to me how rail shape worked in the water and like what it did and its function. And then he basically would hand me some tools and be like, now copy on the other side what I just did. And so it was like, just kind of kept doing that over and over and over with my dad. And then it just evolved. And then years ago, we moved from where we lived in Portland over to Milwaukee. And
Milwaukee, Oregon?
Yeah, here in Milwaukee. And I met some people that were...
Well, that might mess a guy like me up, being as though I spent most of my time in Wisconsin growing up.
So. Right? I'm so used to this being the only Milwaukee. And in junior high, I met some friends that were into snowboarding and skateboarding and stuff like I was. And one of them was Colin Wright. And he was really big into the wakeboard thing at the time, and like they had a really cool shop called Smoke Monkeys back in the day. And so we got some wakeboards and kind of started wakeboarding a little bit. I actually rode a Scurfer at one point with my dad's friend. I remember down here on the river when I was little, but it was never like really a thing. But wakeboarding was fun for a while, but then it kind of got to a point like where it was really stale to me. And I got really into wake skating. Knowing Jason Messer and some of those guys from way back in the day.
Right.
All the boards were awesome. Like back in 2000, I want to say 2001, Thomas made those first concave wake skates, and they were like groundbreaking. I mean, like that was like, we were just riding flat decks or cut up wakeboards at the time with traction. And so at that point, those boards were rad, but the problem was they didn't last. Like they turned into like a 20-pound brick after riding them like 4 times in the water.
A little spongy.
Yeah, so I kind of had this idea of like, I had friends in the snow industry from way back, some people that developed boards, built snowboards for years. So I kind of looked to them and went to their factory and was like, kind of like, I have this idea. Like, I want to build a composite wood wake skate. So let's like build them like a snowboard. So we can still make them flex like wood. They still feel like wood, but they have a shell around them, so they're not going to just fall apart. So in 2003, I started doing that. And then 2005 was the first year that we actually sold those and actually brought them to market here at Active for the very first time. And then eventually ended up selling them all over the world. Sold a bunch to Australia, sold a bunch to Europe. And it was pretty cool. And I did that for a long time.
That's pretty crazy because it's kind of come around full circle, because I know you took a little break from the industry because you had Omen Wake Skates, which was your first brand. You started a second brand a little bit later, and things went a little bit sour for you, but you were able to kind of regroup, and here you are back now. You're back working with Active, and you've got Volume Wake Surfers. And let everybody know.
So it's actually Volume Surfboards.
All right, so you're doing more than just wake surf?
Well, tonight the other announcement was the line of ocean boards we have coming out in the spring. So we have full resin infused ocean boards and wake surfboards. So it really is a whole surf brand. It's not just wake surfboards.
Okay, so you're talking about this technology, this dry process that you're doing to build these boards. You know, it sounds cool to me, but what makes that any better than the old school way of building a surfboard?
So for one, the process of when we use resin infusion, it's primarily was developed for aerospace. It was designed for construction of things that need to be ultra light and ultra strong. When I left the wake industry and was done, I went to work for a company building aerospace parts. I was doing project management, and everything that we did there was in fact resin infused. So I learned this process. It was something I had never really done much about, building wakeboards and wake skates and stuff. We were using big presses and just kind of, they go into a mold and they get smashed together and out pops a wake skate, kind of, to put it lightly. So that process to me was always really interesting because it was really clean, for one. When you build a surfboard hand glassing, you have to lay it and then you have to grind it, and it's dusty and itchy, and then it has to sit, and then you flip it over and do the other side. And there's really not much for control. Your only control that you have when you make one is by how hard you push on your squeegee and how much resin you can get out. And so there isn't a lot of control factor. So that's what creates voids, errors, things that can cause a weak spot or a heavy spot. In a surfboard, the resin is really just there to bind the fibers together. Anything excess beyond what should be in those fibers is just extra weight. It's useless. It doesn't really have any purpose. So with resin infusion, we can now control to make a perfect matrix of exactly the amount of resin to fiberglass that the fiberglass can accept. So we're using no excess and not too much, not too little. It's just perfect.
Absolutely unbelievable, man. All right, so these boards are exclusively available here at Active Water Sports, and folks can buy them by coming to the shop directly or
activewake.com. If you go to volumesurf.com, there's a lot more information that explains the technology, about the glass we use. Everything is built right here in the Northwest. Everything about the board, as far as from the fiberglass to the fin boxes, is in fact all made in America. It's 100% American-made products, something I'm pretty proud of. Nothing from Asia.
Very cool, man. Keeping it here in the good old USA, and we appreciate that. All right, one more time, give out that website so folks can find more about your product.
Yeah, volumesurf.com, or find us on Instagram at volumesurf.
Boom, there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Desgeorges. Did I say that right?
Desgeorges. You were close.
Very good. Thank you very much,
Chris.
Chris.
See you, buddy.
You too, brother. All right. Our next guest, well, he is Canadian, but from what I understand, he's coming to us from Claremont, Florida. He is a first-time Golden Mike podcaster. Been very interested to have this guy on. He'll have a full, proper episode one of these days. But let's get 5 minutes with this man. Give it up for Dylan Miller. Hey man, what's been happening with you? You've been back in Canada. You down in Florida. Where are you at these days?
Well, I was actually just up in Canada last week for my grandpa's 90th birthday.
Congratulations.
So that was pretty cool. And then I went back down to Florida for 2 days, and then came straight here. So I've been traveling lots, and before that I was in Mexico for a boat contest, which I haven't done in a long time. So that was cool, and yeah, lots of moving around in the last month. So.
What are some of the projects you worked on in 2018?
Well, this last year was really busy for me. I actually got picked to do an X Games part, so I filmed that. That took up the majority of my summer, and then right before I finished that up, I actually was working on a project called Formats with Raph, who's involved in that, who's going to be on here later. So yeah, there was five riders in that video, so that took up about a year and a half of filming, kind of split up into different sections. So yeah, we filmed that over a year and a half, and the premiere of that came out, and then like a week and a half after that finished, I went straight into filming an X Games part. So it was a busy summer for sure. Lots of filming, lots of photos, and the kind of stuff I like doing though. So it was a lot of fun.
Hey, so I know that you've always kind of had a strong mind about the sport. You've always had vision of where you wanted your riding to go, where you wanted the sport to go. So here we are in 2018, and I've been around for a long time. I've seen the highs and I've seen the lows. I think we've both seen it. But here we are today, at Active. There's hundreds of people here in the house hanging out. But in general, how are you seeing the industry these days? What do you think?
Everything's doing really good. It's awesome to see. I know I came to this event 2 years ago, and it seems like there's way more people, or just as many, if not more, people at the event this year. So it's great to see like the boat industry is thriving on wake sports like wakeboarding and wake surfing. It's really good, and there's new cable parks popping up all the time, and the riding level just keeps progressing, and it's really good. I think everybody's having a lot of fun behind the boat, and hopefully it just keeps growing and growing all the time.
As we move into 2019, what can we expect to see out of you?
Just keep on shooting photos and filming, and just trying to keep doing some different stuff behind the boat and at the cable park and winching, and just kind of try and keep up with all the young guys out there. I don't know if I can keep up with them completely, but just keep doing, trying to have fun behind the boat and at the cable, and yeah, just wakeboard as much as I can.
Very good. All right, brother, I'm going to let you get back at things. Before I let you go, though, let everybody know here in the house and, of course, listening, all of my tens of thousands of podcast listeners, where to find you on social media or websites or on the internet or wherever it is that you do your personal posting.
Well, I usually just use Instagram. I've got a Facebook account as well, but I don't really use that anymore. Instagram's easy for me, so it's just at Dylan Miller. It's my name, DYLANMILLER.
Boom, there it is, Dylan Miller. Hey,
Thank
Dylan,
you.
Thank
Appreciate
you, brother.
it.
I appreciate you, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, give it up for Dylan Miller, everybody. Woo! All right, our next guest. If you are a longtime podcast listener, this is a gentleman who we've been waiting to get on the podcast for a long time. Borderline, I came all the way to Portland, even though we live in the same state, to get this interview. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Ballin' Bob Soven. Bobby, how you doing, brother?
Great. Yourself?
Hey, man, I'm feeling all right.
I like that.
What the heck have you been up to, dude? I've called you, I've text messaged you, I knocked on your parents' door, I went over to Phil's old house. I've been trying to track you down for over a year, and nothing. But here
I've been resting my voice, waiting for this,
This is the moment you've been waiting for, huh?
Yeah, I didn't want to rush it. I wanted to be sure it was my time when it was time to go. So I kept, I didn't want to say no, though, either. I'm a yes man. So, yeah, I'm glad I'm here now.
You're like this guy. You're one of the best wakeboarders in the world, but you're always, boom, one day you want to be a professional wake skater. One day you want to be a professional TV star. One day you want to be a professional horse rider.
I'm a phase master.
You are a phase master, and
it's like it goes into everything. It's a real problem I have. Like I phase surfing, snowboarding, hockey, fishing, spearfishing, diving, mountain biking. I just phase.
But you dive in.
I get obsessed. I get carried away, and I don't even realize it till it's too late. Okay. Hockey's been my latest one.
But I
was addicted.
I heard you potentially have a new passion. that you're going to be getting into, and it's not standing sideways, but it's still swerving around. Rumor has you want to get into the slalom skiing game.
Yeah, I'm transitioning into old man, and I think slalom skiing is a ticket for the on the water competitive sport for my buddies. All our friends we're aging, and we still want to compete, and we can't compete at wakeboarding.
I think you could compete at wakeboarding. You just got to come to a contest.
I don't know, man. These kids are good now.
All right,
so me and my older friends are going to start slalom ski competing.
Okay, but by older friends, you're like talking about Aaron Rathy. Literally, before we got on the microphone.
And Raph Derome. I think a lot of guys are going to be in. I think it's a pretty big thing we're going to be rocking.
All right, so what's the plan?
We're still going to wakeboard. Our competitive nature is going to be now nestled in slalom skiing.
What's the game plan to dive headfirst into slalom skiing for a guy who's been standing sideways for so long?
Oh, honestly, I've never run the course even.
Have you ever? Can you even get up on a slalom ski?
Yeah, I can get up, but I've never ran the course. I've never been double booted. I always had a back slipper. So I'm pretty amateur, you could say.
That's actually the trend in slalom skiing right now, is to go to the rear toe plate. But the late, great Andy Mapple was a RTP. That's some lingo for you, RTP, rear toe plate.
Oh, really? So I can keep that going?
Oh, yeah. I rock a rear toe plate, man.
I could see myself being a rear toe plate guy. I like a little maneuverability in the back. But I'm expecting, big progressions. You're going to see it. You're going to see every buoy post on the Instagram. I'll keep turning and burning them and cracking off buoys. So,
well, knowing you might be a front toe plater also. If you don't like getting in bindings, it would work for you, maybe.
I'm going to strap that front one in.
All right, hey Bob, how many of these Evening with the Stars have you done?
4, 5, 6, 7-ish.
You've been coming here for quite a while.
Yeah.
How have things changed since your first one?
We kind of have the same, routine, which is nice. You know what you're getting yourself into.
Just sign some autographs. How many babies' foreheads have you kissed already?
Oh, man, I used to sign more babies, though. I think all the Wake fans at the time that live here had their kids a bit ago. So I haven't had to sign a baby in a bit. That's kind of you don't know if they're going to rash up or if that's going to scar them for life. It can stain and,
They like it.
Then they got to have a Bob Soven tattoo on them for the rest of their life.
Yeah, they should. Well, right across their forehead.
But no, this event's been great, and, it's awesome to see the same people.
What did you think of the documentary?
I thought it was great. Man, I'll enjoy any documentary, especially, focus on the water sports industry. Give us our life.
That's right. All right, so Active has done so much for the industry. They've been doing events since the early 80s, and they're still doing events now. And an event that they did last season that was pretty cool, and I saw some awesome footage of it. Unfortunately, I wasn't announcing it. I don't know why. Shane was. Shane's like the Sounds of the South or something. He's should be my sidekick or maybe I should be his sidekick on the microphone. I don't really know. But the event happened out here, and it's a double-up contest, which was pretty cool, called Hang Time, and it had some of the biggest superstars in the world of wake. Talk a little bit about the Hang Time event and what that was like.
Yeah, where do I start for you, buddy? Let's see. We did it down, what was it, in the river?
Yeah, I don't know what the river was. Anybody know the name of the river? Golden Mike
Columbia.
Podcast, Columbia River. Boom.
We have one of our guys way in the back.
You just won a Golden Mike Podcast hat. I'm going to have my girlfriend hand it over to him so I don't have to toss it. I throw like a girl. We all know that.
I teed him up. I knew the answer. I just helped my buddy out. Okay,
That's right.
So, we did down the river, and we had about 10 of us down there, and a great turnout. Looked like the city really supported. A lot of boats came out. We had Rainier in the background, So it's a beautiful, beautiful view. Is it Rainier Hood?
So
whatever.
Everybody
Hood,
knows
Rainier.
you don't really go to that many contests anymore. So what does it take to get you out to a contest?
A double up. I put on a couple of pounds, and so I just can't get the kick.
You need that extra double boost, huh? Very good. All right, hey, moving forward, I know that we got some slalom skiing in the cards moving into 2019. What about the wake side of stuff? What can we expect to see from you this year? You coming back? You gonna make that big competition comeback, big TV comeback? What are you gonna be doing?
Yeah, I'm looking to win the world title next year, man. I'm gonna give it all. I'm gonna come back every contest, do the grind, beat Harley, beat Dowdy, beat them all.
You
Show
heard
them
it
who the
here.
real boss is. So, anyone listening, you can keep me to my word. I'll be there. See you then.
You'll find him there.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, hey, I know you already have 81,000 followers, but let's make it 82. Where can they find you?
Honestly, I'm trying to thin the herd, man. I'm trying to lose followers. I think that more is less is more, or whatever. So it's Bob Soven. Please follow me. I'll post out good stuff.
Bob Soven, ladies and gentlemen. Bob, thank you very much, brother.
Presented by Deck Marine Products. It's the Golden Mike Podcast with the noise of the North, Dano the Mano.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my next guest here. He's never been on the Golden Mike podcast, but he has been on another famous, extreme sports podcast, the Powell Movement. Let's bring in the one and only Mr. Don Wallace. Don.
What's happening, buddy?
This is kind of where you're from, too, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in like Lake Tahoe, Northern California area, but I went to school at University of Oregon, go Ducks. So, so I spent a ton of time up here. Got a lot of friends from college that are still up here, and, always really am stoked to come up here and hang out with the active crew because, for one, obviously they're putting on an amazing event, but it's just a beautiful area up here, and anytime I have an opportunity to get to the Northwest, I'm stoked on it.
So you're with Liquid Force, and you've been with Liquid for a long, long time. Actually, now if I remember, you got to go back to the Powell Movement and listen. I listened to your episode.
Yeah.
But you started what, working for like a surf magazine? And
yeah, exactly. So while I was at school at Oregon, I just knew I wanted to get in action sports. I didn't care if I worked for a surf company, a skate company, a wakeboard company, just anything that I was interested in. And I happened to land a position one summer with Surfing Magazine down in Southern California. Just literally saw on their masthead in the magazine that they had interns, and just kind of was that annoying college kid bugging the marketing director there to the point where he finally just relented and gave me the job. And while I was there, I met, he happened to be friends with Tony Finn. So I met Tony and had the opportunity to intern for him. Tony didn't even know what an intern was, but the fact that I was willing to work for free was enough for him. So I started doing that one summer.
How long did it take to get the paycheck, and then what position did you end up getting?
So that was the summer in between my junior and senior year in college, and went back to school, just kind of kept in touch with the guys there. And while I was in school, Tony actually at that point just hit me up and said, hey, our team manager quit. Would you be interested in doing that? And, I still had 3 months left in school before I graduated. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to do it, but I can't do it yet. So really kind of some back and forth at that point, trying to convince Tony it probably wasn't a good idea for me to quit college with 3 months left. And so basically it was my junior, senior year. And then I started right after that and started as team manager. So.
And you kind of climbed the ladder through Liquid Force. So at what position are you at now?
Yeah, so now we kind of don't love titles at Liquid Force because we all do a little bit of everything, but my official title, I guess, is general manager, just kind of overseeing everything. And, Tony Finn had done that for 20 plus years, and he was just looking to do something different and, kind of step down a little bit as running the company and be more of an ambassador, and has let me kind of take that over. And it's awesome because we have a good crew, and I really just need to work with them and make sure that things are kind of running smoothly, and that I'm giving them the resources to get the job done and have fun.
Hey, what's it like working with a guy like, both Tony Finn and Jimmy Redmond? These what characters? Well, first of all, we just watched the active documentary a little bit ago, and Tony, I don't even think he's trying to be funny.
No, not at all. That's just him. He's crazy.
Comedy nonstop. But, getting to watch him back in the old days, what do you think of his scurfer moves?
Oh, it's hilarious. And what's funny is that in that video, his actual wife is one of the models that was riding scurfer back then. So he had just found these girls that were into water skiing and convinced them to go on a scurfer. And years later, he ends up marrying one of hers. But Tony's awesome. I mean, he's obviously one of the first guys. He and Jimmy Redmond, who were the founders of Liquid Force, way before they started Liquid Force, they were kind of the guys that got the sport of wakeboarding going. So for me, for one thing, it's awesome to be working with those guys. Just, it's like, even though I've worked with them for 20 plus years now, I still have some days where I trip out like, that's crazy. I'm working with the guys that started this sport,
And
essentially.
is it all comedy in the office? Is
Oh,
there
it's-
ever any serious time?
I mean, for sure, but usually it's like, it's not coming from Tony and it's not coming from Jimmy.
Is it bad when it's like you and Aaron Grace are the most serious dudes at the company?
For sure. Yeah, when I'm having to reprimand Tony and Jimmy for something that they did that was just stupid. But no, it's like any business. We're serious, but we're also super serious about having fun. And, from whether it's the crew and customer service or our team riders or our, warehouse or anybody like that, like we're all in this because it's a fun sport and, it's something that we're, even if you're not super passionate about it, like honestly, there's people that work in the company that aren't super passionate about wakeboarding, but they're super passionate about having fun and providing products that people have fun with. So
I'm really into what you guys are doing, and you talked about your time as team manager, and I spent a lot of time with the riders and a lot of these guys before I got to meet them, or even when I did. There have been mentors and heroes of mine and just good friends in general. And over the summer, I over the years, I get to spend time with guys like Shane Bonifay, who I remember Shane getting he was hanging out with us in Wisconsin. He got a shipment of Freeze. A couple months later, he got a shipment of flies. The next summer, he got a shipment of squirt boards. It was so cool. Just to kind of date myself and show how long that
sure,
Shane
man.
has been a part of it. And Watson, another guy, a dude who made so much history in the sport, a two-time national champion, the first pro rider to land the 900. And although I think these guys still have relevancy, or if that's even a word, that it might not be, but they're still relevant in the sport.
From a riding
They're
perspective,
still
yeah.
great riders. They're still so fun to watch out there. They're still getting people behind the boat and going out there, and they can still throw a good demo. But it seems like you guys have kind of made sure that they still have a spot, even though they're maybe not the top competitive riders anymore.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think one of the hardest things that it's not just wakeboarding, any action sports company deals with is that you've got these athletes that, they've been the heart and soul of your brand. I mean, Shane and Watson are perfect examples of that. And, as they start getting older, they're not old, they're still young, but it's like, like Bob mentioned, it's like there's these young kids that are ripping. And so Shane and Watson, they're not at the top of the game anymore. Even though still they're amazing riders.
Mentally, they are.
Yeah, exactly. They're amazing riders, and they're still so fun to watch. But they're not the peak of the sport necessarily. And so what do? It's like each year do we just start paying them a little less, and eventually they're not part of the company. And I've talked to a lot of people that are in our position, and they just say that's the hardest thing because you want to try to find positions for these people. And the companies are all small, so there's not a lot of opportunity. But luckily with these guys, Shane, as has worked with film and camera and editing and that type of stuff for years. And obviously, as social media grows and as things change in the industry, we needed somebody that could do that. And who better than Shane, living out in Florida, to go cruise around and film the team. And so he's doing a lot of the film work for us. And then Watson, same thing with him. We really love that kid and wanted him to do something with us. So now he's helping Aaron Grace, our marketing director. Watson's basically our team manager, which it's hilarious because, as a team rider, I don't think you really understand the behind the scenes of what goes on. And so seeing Watson kind of embrace it, but also some of the things that he's run into, it's funny because I was a team manager, Aaron was a team manager, and we're like, yeah, dude, that's how it goes. You got to figure it out. But no, it's awesome because like it's like most people that work there for a long time. And so to be able to have riders like that, even like Greg Nekrasen still riding the trip and like, comes to our events sometimes and just, he's not as involved as those guys are, but he's
still part of the family.
He was one of the founding fathers essentially of the brand, and so to have him part of the family is awesome for us.
Yeah, well, I got to give it up to you guys, and of course, I'm proud of Shane and Watson for really stepping up. And I think, from what I've seen, they've been doing a pretty good job. And
they're killing it. Yeah, they're doing a great job.
It's got to be tough though, because you think about the lives that they led. They weren't 40-hour-a-week kind of guys. They showed up, they did demos, they showed up, they rode contests, they showed up, they did photo shoots and whatnot. Yeah. They didn't really have to be a part of the business side. So
they weren't looking at spreadsheets. They weren't making. It's like their decision was, do I ride today or what do I do? And so there's a lot of stuff that for us, it's fun. I mean, I enjoy teaching them too, right? Like they don't have college degrees. They don't have a marketing degree, but to be able to like help them. And at the same time, they've got the experience out on the road that a lot of us didn't have and being athletes. I mean, I think it's pretty awesome for us to say, oh yeah, talk to our, some kid that sends in a sponsor me something. It's like, oh yeah, you need to talk to our team manager, Sean Watson. Like, that's pretty awesome. I think
that's pretty cool
for those kids to get to talk to him. So,
hey, so for so many years, Liquid Force put on one of the most premier events in wake sports, a contest called Bro Stock. The crew out here at Active, and I talked a little bit about it with Bob Soven a few minutes ago. The Hang Time event really had that bro stock feeling to it, from the social media stuff that I saw, from talking to the boys, from watching the videos that were out on YouTube. It took me 6 years to bring Feet on Fire back, and I know it's been a few years since we've seen it. But what are the chances of us ever seeing like a bro stock come back?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because that event, I laugh when people call it a contest. I mean, in reality, it was a contest, but for us, it was just, the original idea was just have a bunch of friends come out and we're just going to put on a little demo out at Lake Powell. And then when it turned into this huge event where, 1 year we had Public Enemy was there playing. I mean, it just turned into this giant thing, and it was super fun, but it started getting to be a little much. And yeah, we just wanted to take some time off. So after the 10th one, we took, Aaron, we've taken 4 years off? Yeah, so we took 4 seasons off, and Aaron Grace, our marketing director, was just recently, after the 10 years, he's like, I'm never doing that event again. Like, it was a lot of work and it was chaos, but you just start kind of missing it, and the athletes are telling us how much they missed it, and so we've been thinking about how can we bring it back. And yeah, Aaron and a few of our team riders were up here for the Hang Time deal, and it kind of had the same vibe and the same feel, and different scale obviously, but it was great. And we have just such a good relationship with Dan and the whole crew here at Active, and so we've been talking quite a bit. And my love for the Northwest, Aaron's from Idaho, he loves the Northwest, and so we just thought, man, if we could make something like this happen in Portland, I think it'd be awesome. So nothing set in stone, but I mean, I think our goal is within the next year to 2 years to have Bro Stock back for sure. And I think if it is back, most likely it'll be here in Portland. So we're psyched. I mean, the great thing is that we are going to have such a great partner with the Active crew. I mean, they're going to be super involved with the boats, with, it just will work out great. And Dan, Dan is super fired up on bringing something up here too. And I think he's going to be a huge reason that the event would come up here and happen. So we'll see. We're excited. We just don't want to promise anything.
So there's
nothing
official announcement.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for this because I never actually made it out to a bro stock back in the day. Yeah, it's crazy. I never actually made it out to a bro stock back in the day, but if it comes back, you mark my word, I will be there, and you don't even have to hire me to announce. You don't even have to hire me to announce. I will just come out and I will hang out, make a wizard stick, do whatever it takes to have a good time and prove myself.
Yeah, the wizard stick definitely needs to come back and be a part of this, but
and I think it will.
It'd be great, man.
Don, I don't know how much. I know you were on the Powell Movement podcast, and I recommend to all my listeners to go and listen to that show. But if anybody, do you do social media? Do people follow you? Are you into that?
Yeah, a little. I mean, so it's funny. So Powell Movement, I'm stoked you mentioned that because Mike's one of my good buddies, and he listens to yours, you listen to his. Like, he's an awesome guy, and so if anybody has an opportunity to check out his, I'd be stoked on that. And yeah, I mean, I don't really do anything on Instagram that's cool. I mainly just post things about my wife, who's a badass Muay Thai fighter. So if you guys are interested in that, my Instagram is just DSW Duck. So
boom. So watch out for that. Liquid Force, anything special, exciting we could watch out for 2019?
Yeah, so I mean, really, like I said, we're hoping to get Bro Stock back, so we'll see that. Aaron's been working on a U.S. cable series too that we've got potentially coming on. So
now that I would be interested in announcing. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. No, so I mean, really, just trying to. I don't know. I feel like worldwide there's a ton of events going on, but the U.S. recently it seems like there aren't as many wakeboard events, and so we just have always felt like our job at Liquid Force is not just to sell a bunch of wakeboards and sell a bunch of wake surfers and things like that. I mean, it is obviously, but our job really is to grow the sport and to help, and And just like this event, Evening with the Stars, is helping keep the community stoked on wakeboarding. That's what these events are going to do too. And, Aaron's really passionate about bringing that event series. So yeah, I think, besides just the normal product or whatever, like that's kind of our biggest thing is just trying to do a couple cool event series this next summer. So yeah.
Very good. All right. Don, thank you so much for sitting down with me. I feel like we could actually sit here and probably go for an hour.
Hey, let's do it some other time, man. I'd be stoked.
Absolutely. I'm going to get you. You'll be on your second full major podcast. I'm going to come to California, visit you guys down in the office one of these days.
Perfect.
I got to get Tony and Jimmy proper episodes also because we got to hear their full stories.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. Come down anytime.
Very good. All right, there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Don Wallace. Don, thank you so much.
Right on. Thanks, man.
I'm going to bring up my next guest. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only Raph Derome. Comment allez-vous?
Ça va bien, toi?
Bien.
Comment va ton français? Un petit peu.
Not much. I still haven't learned French, my friend. Good to see you,
One
dude.
day. Good to see you too.
First, let's talk about your 2018 competitive season because you are not a man who competes often, but when you do, you make it count, and you made it count this summer. Talk about it.
All right, yeah, well, most of my season was dedicated to filming formats. So actually not just my last season, but the past 2 seasons were dedicated to filming a full movie. And it took a lot of time and a lot of my energy. So that was my main focus. And then I tried to schedule 1 or 2 events in my season to compete and try to see if I still had it.
Now, can we expect to see you back in any more competitions in 2019, or are you thinking about focusing more on more video parts and projects like that?
Well, my initial reaction, I always say I'd rather film because that's where I feel like I can be more creative, and I'm more passionate about that right now. But Liquid Force, like we said, are doing a series, so Liquid Force is my main sponsor, so definitely I'll be part of the Liquid Force series. So it'd be like a cable event series.
So did we kind of just break the news about this series on the podcast, or has it been out there?
I mean, it's not official 100%, but I think it's looking like it will happen. So
it's unofficially official.
Exactly. So not saying when and where exactly, but sometime this summer. I should, I think I'll try to do the 3-event series.
Very good. I know that you're a guy who likes to keep people thinking and surprised and whatnot. And I had you on my podcast 59 episodes ago. Can you believe that? 59 episodes since you and I recorded. Where did we record? In Korea?
Korea, yeah.
Okay, so in episode 50 of the Golden Mike podcast, I asked you what your vision of a wakeboard film, basically the ultimate wakeboard film, and you sort of laid it out for me. About a year and a half, maybe 2 years later, it all came to fruition in Formats.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what Formats is, who wrote in Formats, and how you feel about the success that the video has had, what success it's had.
Yeah. Well, okay, so Formats is 5 different writers from different places in the world. So me from Canada, Felix Georgie from Germany, we had Dylan from Canada, and we had Gunther from Cincinnati, and we had Nick Dorsey from Alberta originally. So
Calgary, Alberta.
Ooh. Close from there anyway, Canada. But that was really fun because it was a bunch of different writers, which comes with different visions.
But what makes Formats so different than anything that's ever come out before?
Well, I think it's the level of writing, I would say, and which type of writing it is also, because it's a winch movie. I think there's only been one movie that was mainly winch, and that was Shredtown a long time ago. So I think it was a nice way to see where the sport is at right now. So it was a good outlook on the sport.
We don't see like full features come out that often, but I've heard so much about Formats and again, like the amount of people, I'm on the road every weekend, and a lot of times, you got the kids, they're watching their movies on the iPhones and stuff, and
it's different now. Yeah, it's weird because back then it was a DVD or VHS, and you'd send it to all the different shops, and people would buy it, and now it's a transition. It's not online. Sometimes movies are online, but this time on iTunes, it's a platform that it's hard to know how many times it's being watched, and it's
It
more
is. I feel the struggle with the podcast also.
Exactly. It's sort of I don't know, it's tough, but I think it did pretty well, and we put everything we had into it, so I think
Any other movies on the horizon for you guys, or any video parts or anything like that for you?
I started filming for a new project, but nothing solidified, like nothing set in stone. But I started filming and probably work on a project and probably do a project more, not just by myself, but more like me leading with my filmer and do my own stuff more. Because Formats was more about me filming with a group of people, and I was more following than leading. So I think I kind of want to go back to filming and creating my own projects, but try to incorporate and bring some riders with me.
Quick break here, y'all. Here's a question. Does your boat have small compartments that won't allow a big water ballast bag? Well, now your struggles are all but gone. Leadwake is the ballast bag every pro is running in their boat today. Leadwake is becoming one of the biggest names in wake, and don't just take it from me. Riders and promoters all across the industry run the original and #1 easily movable, moldable, and indestructible Leadwake ballast. Except nothing but the best, and the best is Leadwake. These bags help clean up any wake while also helping distribute that little extra bit of oomph all over the boat. They're easy to carry, made from 100% recycled steel material, and sewn into the inside is a high-density foam core to protect not only the bag, but your boat. Leadwake bags can be stacked and placed in tight spaces and at a density of 9 times that of water. Just a few bags can replace those space-consuming water bags. Oh, and the best part, Leadwake offers free shipping from anywhere inside the continental United States, and when you buy 9 bags, you get the 10th bag free. Find out why you should already be using Leadwake in your boat right now at leadwake.com. Now let's get back to Evening with the Stars live from Active Water Sports right here on the Golden Mike Podcast. Looking forward to watching that. I got to ask you one last question. Back in Canada, I know your dad started off the year. I had Ollie on for a few minutes earlier this summer at the Malibu event out at the factory, and he talked that your dad had some knee surgery, and your dad's a big water skier, held the Canadian jump record for a long time. How's Dad doing? Is he back on the water yet?
Yeah, he's doing good. He's slaloming every day, and he hasn't beat his all-time record. Still trying to do 35 off. I think he did 4 at 35 this year, maybe 5 at 35, but still hasn't gone through the course at 35. So. And
what about the Derome brothers? We heard Bob Soven talking about getting back into slalom skiing. Well, how bad do you want to strap a slalom ski on and just whoop Bob?
I slalom once this year, and I did a few at 34, I think.
34 miles an hour.
Yeah, I didn't cut the rope yet. I'm
at
not
15 off.
15 off. I think I either passed 32 or 34, but I passed one of the two, and I stopped after.
Well, very good. Hey, when you're down in Orlando, man, hit me up and let's go out for a little swerve ourselves, just for fun, you know?
I got to start training. I want to get some training before Bob gets into it, you know? I think I got a small advantage right now, so I got to keep working. And
well, yeah, your dad's been a water ski coach for, 50 years?
Yeah, I got a good course to train on, too, so...
Yeah, absolutely. Wow Plaza.
Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, anybody who doesn't remember where you're at and they want to follow you on social media, what do they got to do?
It's Raph Derome on Instagram. That's it.
There it is, at Raph Derome. Raph Derome, I do appreciate you, and thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Dano.
Raph Derome, ladies and gentlemen, and here we go. We've got one more gentleman that we're going to bring up. I know I see him out there chatting with a customer. Hopefully he'll have an opportunity to walk over here right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Warren Freece, the owner of Active Water Sports. Warren, join me over here on your couch. Let me join you here on your furniture. And
oh, there we go. Feels good to sit down.
Congratulations, man. 37 years and your 32nd Evening with the Stars.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine what started off 32 years ago with my mom and mother-in-law making the food, and just a friendly thing to thank customers that it could become the event it has and get this gigantic crowd out here on a night in November.
So, Warren, over the years, you've hosted and helped grow the sport by putting on some of the biggest and best events. And you and I have known each other now for a little over 10 years. I think it was 2008, and it was the first time we'd met. I showed up, long hair, loudmouth on the microphone, announcing what you probably never thought you'd be hosting at your site is a wake skate contest, the Hippodrome.
Right.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, that was a pretty adventurous time in the water sports. But the thing that I've tried to do is never let anybody out. In other words, if somebody's got something new, even though I think it's kind of silly, it might be the next big thing. Is what I've learned. So. Silas Thurman, who was one of the original guys that put that event, or at least may have jointly put it on, but he was local for us, and he had actually worked for us for a few years, and he got some sponsorship money through Nike, and they were able to put a pretty elaborate ponds and gaps and stuff that hadn't been done, or I certainly hadn't seen, at least on this side of the country. And again, that was one of those events I thought was kind of ridiculous, and it really turned out to give us a lot of exposure and be a pretty big thing. And the thing I've learned to do is respect anybody that can do anything really well, even though it scares the heck out of me or doesn't look like something I want to do. I mean, I think ice skaters at the Olympics are pretty silly, but when they start throwing flips and doing crazy stuff that I couldn't fathom doing, I can sit and watch that. And I think the Hippodrome was, again, one of those events that stretched my imagination.
Hey, so Warren, over the years, you were a water skier, and it seems like you've always been kind of open to anything, and fun obviously is what you're pushing here. But you saw the Scurfer come in. You saw the hydrofoil, the air chair, the sky ski come through. You saw the transition from the Scurfer to the wakeboard. You saw the wake skate. You saw it go from the ski boats to the wake boats. And now wake surfing is arguably the biggest thing going on in the towed water sports industry. But one thing for the last 37 years that has pretty much been a solid, especially up here in the Pacific Northwest, is active water sports. And I just want to find out, how you've been able to stay so relevant over the years.
Okay. Well, I think as I explained to people earlier, a lot of it's by God's good grace, and God has a better plan and a better sense of humor than I ever thought of. But for me, the first summer was, how do I not go to work and go water skiing? And so, I almost felt like I was pretending to have a ski school the first year. And the part that surprised me is we actually taught people. They paid us a lot of money, and by the end of the summer, I actually had made some money doing what I thought was a whole bunch of fun. And it was a joint effort. When my father kind of pushed me into, gee whiz, you're building a jump ramp, you're building a slalom course, this fancy slalom boat you bought cost way too much money. You got to turn this thing into a business so you can pay less taxes. I mean, that was his push, and I wasn't smart enough to even understand that at the time. But how we've stayed in from there is we treat people like their friends and like their family, because they really are. I mean, most of my employees have come from being customers. Dan Lay now with us for I think he said 10 years. His parents bought gear from us when he was a toddler. He worked for us from the time he was 16. Matt Radich, our president, worked at ski school during his college years, got a college degree, worked for us for a few years, went to work for one of the big ink companies wore a tie, got tired of that after about a year and came back to work for us and hasn't looked back. We just try and have fun at work. We try and have fun with our customers. We try really hard to under-promise and over-deliver. We're not perfect. We make our share of mistakes, but we try really hard to tell people what we can do and can't do. And if we sell somebody a product, it breaks, we replace it, fix it, do what...
You do the right thing.
I've always pushed and shoved and tried to get the best value I can so I can pass that through to the customer. I work really hard for myself, for my business, but also my customer, and I sit down and sell them a boat, and especially an event like this, we can often sell a boat for less than I normally buy a boat for, okay, because we've negotiated with the manufacturer, and hey, it's one night, what are we going to sell, 5-6 boats? No big deal. And you talk them into stuff, the customer's happy. Those are some of the little things, but, service after the sale, I think in this world where the boats have so much equipment and stuff like that on them, you want them to buy a product from you and enjoy it. My memories as a young man, one summer I drove my dad's Sea Ray over a log, tore up the lower unit, and the local boat dealer back then, it was actually a Staff Jennings, who's no longer in business in the market, so I can tell their name and not making an effort to trash on them. But I'm 13, 14 years old, and I'm now mowing lawns to pay to fix my dad's outdrive unit. Well, every time I'd stop by, they're supposed to have it done. It wasn't done. So we're out the boat, we're skiing with neighbors, doing whatever, and we're without the boat. And I'm the youngest of 4 children. I was not popular for being the dunce that, tore the boat up. And so that stuff stuck in my head. Age 12, I'm buying a ski for my dad, Taper Flex from Pacific Hardware and Electric, downtown Portland, which was one of the only places I was aware of that you could find a ski in the state. A couple of nice gentlemen wore ties and suits and follow you around whatever you're doing, and I knew what my dad wanted, a Taper Flex at the time, and wanted a big one. They didn't have it, and I ordered it. It got in days before Christmas. It had a big blemish on it. And they also told me I owed them $4.50. They didn't bother to tell me when I ordered the ski. And so at age 12, I was a disappointed consumer. Now, I didn't at that point say, one day I'm going to get in business and show you guys how, but it was a memory that I had the first time I went to California, and there was a guy named Bob Mello that had a very nice selection and ski shop. And he also followed you around, and he also had bad hearing, and he talked really loud. But that was, as I got to know Bob and buy gear from him, he was a competitive water skier. His kids were competitive water skiers. He really knew what he was doing. I said, now this is how you should do a shop. Then I got to Mike Siderhoud's ski school in Lake Shasta, California. Again, very good selection. You could take school from them, you try the equipment, and they did a really good job. And it was like, wow, this is how you should sell skis and equipment. So those are some of the guys that really taught me what a pro shop should look like and what customer service in the water ski, because that did not exist in the Portland area or Oregon and in my lifetime as a youth. And so when I was given the opportunity to get in the boat and water ski and wakeboard business, I was used to my grandfather that said, you tell somebody something, you do that, but when you're buying, you get the best buy you can, and that's what we've always fought for the customer, to get them the best value we can. And then we also, if they are out in their boat and they break down, there's been times I've driven, 2 states, 3 states handed somebody a new boat and took their old boat or their brand new boat I sold them that broke down that should not have. And there's been sometimes I've made the same drive and to find out that the customer did something to the boat but you're going to do that stuff. And if you want to continue to earn your customer's business, you're going to continue to do that. So I don't know. I mean, I can go on and on if you'd like me to, but treat customers like you'd like to be treated. And if you damage a customer or you do something wrong, then make it up. The quicker, the sooner, the better.
Otherwise, they'll never forget, right?
It's pretty straightforward because I'm sure I don't have 100% customer satisfaction out there, but if a customer will allow me, I will.
But pretty dang close, right?
Right. Yeah, it might be 99.27 or something. I'm not sure.
We watched the documentary tonight. You had 40 years of video footage capturing the history of yourself, your ski school, your shop, Active Water Sports. And I think it did an amazing job of kind of telling the story there in only 30 minutes long. I know it's going to be coming out on YouTube through your guys' website. All in all, you pretty proud of that video?
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was fun. The guys did an excellent job of taking the footage that we had. There's always, like filming anything, there's some stuff I go, oh, why didn't they put this in or why didn't they put that in? But again, 30 minutes, they hit most of the hot points, and I didn't do great job on notes, but I thought it was fantastic, and I think most of the customers enjoyed. There's a number of customers that saw some of the early year ski school like Mayfield and recognized themselves or their family members, and that's always a good part. And then flashing forward to the level of riding that some of our new sponsored riders are doing is amazing.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on that. And we're going to finish on this. You guys made it a big announcement at the end of the documentary that you haven't necessarily outgrown your Beaverton location or this location. You're going to keep them around, but you've got a new location in the works, 29,000 square feet. One of the guys you competed with, one of the guys who's been a customer of yours for a long time, Joe Sheets, is working with you on this. How special is that getting, and I know you touched on it a little bit earlier already, the customers, the friendships that come out of this shop, but moving forward as you guys get ready to move on to the next step of Active.
Yeah, well, it's great because we always try whenever possible. I don't care what I'm buying, but if I know somebody who's a customer that if it sells carpet, I'll go spend money with them. If it sells cars, trucks, or whatever it is we need, always try and do business with the people that are doing business. But it's always more fun when you got somebody that you actually like, and of years, in the competitive water skiing world, you have very close friendships. So when you have these people that love the same stuff you love, boats, water skiing, competitive water skiing, and they've put all their time in as drivers and judges, and like any sport, as you get into it, you have to give back to keep it healthy and growing. And it's just, there's so many people. The young kids come up as still my most enjoyable, and I still spend a lot of time at Copper Lake coaching and training and teaching, young skiers. And there's still, for me, the thrill of getting either a child or an adult up for the first time on the water, where they're actually floating or flying on the water for the first time, is the look on their face is priceless.
It's a good feeling, and I gotta hand it to you for passing the handle for as long as you have and continuing to do that, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. And as long as God allows me to keep doing it, we're gonna keep it up for a few more decades, anyhow.
Well, I sure hope so. And Warren, I gotta say, thank you very much for all that you personally have done. Thank you for what your shop has done for the sport. Thank you for having me out here. This was my first evening with the Stars out of 32 of them.
Right.
Your shop has something in common with me. Same birth year.
Oh, there you go.
1982.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
So this means a lot to me. I've watched a lot of my best friends, my mentors, the guys that have helped me over the years. You know, I've got to spend time with you and at Copper Lake, and you've taken me over to your shed, to your barn. You've showed me all of your cool old boats and old stuff that you know really gets me going and whatnot.
Right.
And I appreciate our friendship again, and congratulations to you on 37 years of awesome business. I wish you luck with the new shop. And with that being said, unless you have any closing thoughts, we're probably going to bring this one to an end.
All right, Dano. I just really appreciate you coming out and picking up the level of the event here, and just remember that we do take your fun seriously here.
Warren, thank you very much. I appreciate you, and I appreciate all my guests, of course, the entire crew, Tyler Higham, Trever Maur, Josh Twelker, Chris Desgeorges, Dylan Miller, Bob Soven, Raph Derome, of course, Warren Freece right here, the owner, the founder of Active Water Sports. Remember, guys, this podcast comes out 2 times a month on the first and third Wednesday, noiseofthenorth.com, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and on most podcast listening applications on your Android devices.
All right, you should add like a tomato can, where you should do it on that too.
A can with a string.
Yeah, a can with a string. Then you'd have all the media bases covered.
Maybe if I worked as hard as you, Warren, I would have that out there.
There we
soon.
go. That's just something you can add maybe next year.
Warren Freece and the entire crew from Active Water Sports. Dan Lay, thank you guys for having me out here. This has been absolutely amazing. Guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back with more right here on the Golden Mike Podcast.